It shocked me when I found out that in all of human history, the outside world has never been safer than it is right now. It just doesn't seem that way because me and you know about every tragic and terrible thing that happens all over the world every single day. And you have what we call omniscience fatigue. So we stay inside. Now, what do I mean when I say go outside? I mean it literally, and I mean it metaphorically, and it'll make more sense as this message goes along. But whether it's your kids physically going outside to play, or it's you physically going outside for a walk, or metaphorically speaking, it's a recent graduate going outside everything they've ever known into the real world, or an adult going outside of his or her comfort zone to take a risk or start a family or a new career. It's dangerous out there. Jesus said it was. That's why I love the Bible. It's not trying to sell you on something. He doesn't shy away from the reality of life. He says, in this world, you will have trouble. It's dangerous out there. It's just at some point, church, it's more dangerous in here. It's dangerous to take a risk. Red Rocks has a growing church. It's dangerous for us to continue to live by faith and take great risks. It's far more dangerous, I would argue, for us, though, to play it safe and protect what we have. It's dangerous to love somebody or to build community because people are imperfect and we hurt each other. But isolation and loneliness do far more damage. It's dangerous to let your kid climb the tree and risk them falling out of it and breaking an arm. It's far more dangerous for them to grow up afraid to climb trees at all. In Genesis chapter 15, Abram is inside of his tent. And he is down and he is discouraged. And for reasons that honestly make a lot of sense. You know, every behavior has a backstory. And it's Genesis 15. 3 chapters earlier in Genesis 12, God gave him the original promise and said, Abram, I'm going to make your lineage into a nation. I'm gonna bring you into a promised land, and all the peoples of the earth will be blessed through you. Well, 3 chapters later, Genesis 15, but in this case, don't let 3 chapters fool you, because in this context, that is 16 years. And Abram and Sarah still don't even have a kid. Meanwhile, God's talking about a nation. God's talking about great stuff. Abram's not even good. You ever feel that in church? Because at Red Rocks, man, we talk a big game about let's go change the world. And you're like, Pastor, I'm in. I think that's great. But to be honest, I'd be happy if God just did something in my life right now. Just answered any prayer requests right now. That's the season that Abram's in. He's, once again, I want you to see this picture. He's inside his tent. He's inside his head. And if I could say it this way, he's turned sort of inside of himself. And he's thinking about everything he doesn't have and all the things God hasn't done. And he's anxious about tomorrow, and he's depressed about the now. And I really do think Abram in his tent is a good picture of a lot of people in the Christmas season. This is the time of year we sing one thing, but we all kind of feel another. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Not statistically though, guys. It's not. Not statistically. We sing it's a holly jolly Christmas. Why does it feel like most Americans are stressed out and sad? Like all is not calm. Man, all is not bright. There was a recent poll that said 45% of Americans would opt to skip the Christmas season altogether if given the opportunity. And the point of this message is so biblical and so practical to make your Christmas season, I want to be realistic, to make your Christmas season 10% calmer and 10% brighter. It's just so simple that you might write me off and missed it altogether. Go outside. God brought Abram outside of his tent and outside of himself. I remember when I used to lead mission trips back in college, right when I graduated, and I went to school in Boulder. I don't know if you guys know that, but I used to live there. And I would lead trips of college students over winter break. We'd go to like a third world country, and we would serve people who needed help and share the love of Jesus. And we'd get back, and it just seemed every time in the month after the mission trip, everybody was so fired up about their faith. Everybody would like jump out of bed in the morning, just happy and grateful to be alive. And what does God have for me today? And how many students would tell me in their own words something like this? I don't know how to explain it. I just feel good. I just feel good. And one day it hit me, maybe it's because we just spent 10 days outside of ourselves. And for 10 days, I didn't think for a single time about what God hasn't done in my life. And for 10 days, I wasn't thinking about a single one of my problems because I was too busy focused on somebody else's and talking to them about Jesus. And in a paradoxical way, it refreshed me and it freed me. God took us outside. Go outside. Here's just a casual Hippocrates quote for you. If you are in a bad mood, go for a walk. If you are still in a bad mood, go for another walk. A few days ago, I took my dog Luna for a walk without my phone. Key detail. I was stressed out about work. I was frustrated about my week, and we went for a walk for about an hour, and I came back calm and bright. Biblically, there is something healing about nature. It's almost as if God's creation wants to tell you a different story than the story that you got on repeat up here in your head. And I wonder if that's why God brought Abram outside and said, Abram, look up at the night sky, because God was using his creation to tell Abram a different story. And all throughout all four Gospels, you will read all the time about when Jesus withdrew to a quiet place for solitude. Jesus climbed a mountain to pray by himself. Jesus was led into the wilderness. He retreated to find some silence and spend time with the Father. And behind all of the different descriptions in the English language is actually the exact same Greek word every single time. It's the word eremos, and it means the undistracted place of silence and solitude with God. Oftentimes, not all the time, but oftentimes in God's creation, the eremos. What would it look like for you to, on purpose, create or find or retreat into the eremos this Christmas season? Because we would all agree, at the end of the day, we are the overtaught, underapplied generation. We have infinity in our pockets. We have so much amazing content and great content about God's truth in sermons and in books and podcasts and in videos, but content will only transform your life when it gets your attention and your application. Your attention is your most precious resource that you have to give. Every company, every app in your phone, every store in the mall right now is competing for your attention. And I've heard it said, where you give your attention is who you are becoming. Somebody else, I'm not sure who gets the credit for this, but attention is the beginning of devotion. Some of your most life-changing stories will come in the middle of your hardest seasons that feel like they will never end. Is not every testimony video on baptism weekend proof of that? Some of your most powerful testimonies that will be part of somebody else's survival kit one day will happen in your winter season. What am I saying? I'm saying go outside. Even in winter, go outside and feel the discomfort of the cold. Go outside and feel the reality of seasons and let it preach to you something, that a season is exactly that, a season, not a life sentence, a season. A season.